these peels, the ones that you see upstairs, once we've let the dough rise here, you have a little razor blade on which you...
The lame.
The lame, on which we score our signature pea.
Good morning, everyone. I'm here at Paris in front of Poilâne Boulangerie. And let's see if I can find Apollonia Poilâne to give us a personal tour inside.
Poilâne is the world's most iconic bakery. It became famous thanks to Lionel Poilâne, who managed to send freshly baked bread from Paris to New York in just 4 hours using an ultrasonic airplane. Among its most famous customers were Frank Sinatra, Robert De Niro, and it even collaborated with Dalí in the creation of an entire room made of bread. Due to an unexpected turn of events, Apollonia, Lionel's eldest daughter, had to take over the Poilâne empire at the young age of 18.
Bonjour. Apollonia. Oh, how are you?
Good, how are you doing today?
Incredible. So finally I'm at Poilâne. Wow. Thank you for the invitation.
Are you ready for a visit?
Yes, please.
All right, let's go to the bakehouse.
Okay.
Okay, do watch out because this is a working bakery and so it may be slippery.
Wow.
Okay.
Ooh.
So, the banister is not for grannies, you can use it.
It is really hot in here.
It is much warmer, huh?
Yeah.
This area in the 17th century would have been outside of Paris, technically. And these were the grounds for monasteries and convents. This bakehouse has been going on at least since the French Revolution, so 1789.
Yeah.
We've been here for a little over 90 years, and what's interesting is to see how this place, because it's been time proven, all of the different methodologies we use, the walls are patined, is a reflection of that. And the intelligence of appreciating the work of time and appreciating what time teaches us on how to do things. So I'll walk you through the different steps of baking bread.
Yes, please.
Hidden in here is our pétrin, so our mixing bowl.
It's a mixer.
Yep, it's our big mixing bowl, like
No mixer.
big KitchenAid bowl on steroids.
Yeah, and here's the hook.
Exactly.
Huge hook.
So it looks like a lobster's
Yeah,
claw.
interesting.
So,
how many kilos can you put in here?
80 loaves in here.
80 loaves.
Yeah,
And
of
they're
my big-
almost two
Almost 2
kilos.
kilos.
With water. Oh, a
Yeah.
lot of poof.
So this is our big mixing bowl. And then when there's a batch to follow, we have a piece of dough from the previous batch, which we've left behind,
That is
the sourdough.
the sourdough or the pâte fermentée.
It's a little bit of the same thing, but I'm bastardizing a little bit the second. There's many ways in which you can help a dough rise. One of the ways that we use is sourdough.
Yeah.
You have our sourdough, which is a piece of dough from the previous batch.
With all the
that we carry
culture
on.
and the
Exactly.
yeast of all around for
Since
many years.
1932.
Oh, since 1932. Wow.
We add our 3 other ingredients: wheat flour through here, sea salt from Guérande, and water through the tap.
Which kind of flour do you use? It's whole wheat?
So this is wheat flour.
Wheat flour.
That is stone ground.
Stone ground.
And in France, we use
The tea. I know you have the tea.
Yeah, we use the taux de cendre, and we use a type 80.
80.
So that means if you burn a kilo of flour, then you'll get about 80 grams of ashes. What I want to point out is that back in the day, because when you have this big bulky bag of flour, if you pull it over,
Or the bag.
it's horrible because it's all over
your
the
back,
place. It's
on
heavy
your
your back. So the smart thing is the previous generations, they left the flour bags upstairs.
Use the gravity.
And use gravity, exactly. And so sometimes, the most simple tricks, it's low tech and it's pretty efficient.
Yeah.
We have our dough. We're going to transfer most of it in this bread box.
And you knead it till you get a full gluten development, or?
So we mix it properly, and then we transfer it in here. And this is where it develops. So if you bring your hands closer, you may feel a little bit of warmth.
Yes.
And then if you come and smell,
it smells.
it smells like an old barrel, and it's not. For those who make wine, who understand the world of wine, it's this whole world of fermentation.
Yes. No, it's.
All of these little microorganisms that like a
It reminds me a little bit of cheese too.
Yes. So what's interesting, what you're saying, is that wine, bread, and cheese
And they come
were
all
the base of our foods.
Yeah.
They were fermented foods. They were the basis of our diets.
Yeah.
And you're exactly right. We let the dough rise here a first time.
How long does it take?
It takes about 2 hours.
2 hours. Oh, okay.
But
to double in
al-
size? Or almost.
Almost. The most sophisticated tools are our hands.
Yeah.
They're able to feel, they're able to touch and have a sense of the temperature.
I call that to read the dough. I always tell my students,
Yeah.
followers, that you need to feel and read the dough.
You're absolutely right. It is a language, and it's a sensory language, and it's not just I feel this. No, it's there's
to
sensory cues.
understand.
Yeah, exactly. We cut with this little dough cutter the weight and volume of breads, and then we're going to check that we're with this Roman balance.
Oh, that's
And
the latest technology.
Well, what's interesting is that,
Was this from your grandfather?
well, and even before that.
Oh, before.
But
yeah.
I think what's interesting is that we use this not to weigh the loaf, but to check that we're within the right range. So you see this and you think, oh, it's a scale. But actually, the weighing happens in here with our hands because we cut out the weight and volume.
Okay.
And with the scale, we check that we're within a little over 2 kilos.
Around 2 kilos.
So if you put your hand here, if you can put it here,
Here.
you can clean it afterwards.
I'm like a dough.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
So this way you get a sense of what is that weight and volume.
Yeah.
And throughout our apprenticeship, this is what we develop. So here, you see a scale because that's what you've been taught. What our hands are saying and our eyes are seeing is it validated or not?
Volume, we see volume.
Exactly, volume and weight.
Are you lost with all the sourdough bread recipes that you find on the internet? Would you like to learn all the tips and tricks to make your own sourdough bread at home? Then I have the solution. I have designed the perfect masterclass of sourdough bread just made for you. By clicking the link on the description, you will learn how to make and take care of your sourdough starter, how to knead, shape, ferment, and bake your sourdough bread, how to use and read the baker's percentage, all the basic techniques to bake like a pro at home, and how to read and understand your dough. Don't miss out on it and click the link on the description right now. And these are the bannetons.
And so those are the bantons.
Oof.
We use this table to shape the loaves, and then we have these wicker bantons that are covered in linen. We flour them, we put the loaf inside, and we let it rise.
Here's the temperature. Yeah, we're at
Yeah.
27
We
degrees.
We have temperatures and the clock, plus our hands and our 5 senses.
Yeah.
We let the dough rise in here.
Yes.
So we create a pile of loaves, between 30 and about 50 or up to 70 loaves if we wanted to. And then we're going to put it into the oven.
To the oven, which is a wood fire oven, right?
It is a wood-fired oven.
And there you start the fire down
And
there?
we start the fire down there.
But there's no connection between the fire and the bread. Oh,
So-
there is.
There is and there isn't. The first thing I should say is that this is 100-ton heavy, wood-fired brick oven. We heat up the oven, so we gorge it with heat. These bricks like soak up the heat, and then when it's not heated anymore, it releases the heat.
Yeah.
And by releasing the heat, it bakes whatever's inside of the oven. So this is where we're going to come into the
Okay. And at which temperature do you start?
Over 250.
Over to 50.
Celsius, of course. So the way this oven works is that we will heat it up, bring it to the temperature,
Then
put everything we want to bake in.
you don't let it cool down a little bit.
Well, 5-10 minutes. It depends on how the oven is.
Okay, yeah, the temperature.
But-
And what kind of wood do you use?
So we use dry wood.
So more ecological.
Yes, and because it's fully dry in small pieces, it burns entirely. So there's very little leftovers and the combustion is complete. So this is a bowl in which we normally put water inside. So
For steam.
exactly. So when we're heating up the oven,
Yes.
we remove that bowl that's empty, and you can feel the heat, right?
Yes.
Like it's nice and warm, and so in this thing you see this cast iron mouth that helps direct the flame into the oven. So we put it in place of the things. It helps direct the flame into the oven, and once the flames is out because the wood is burnt, then we start baking whatever it is. We close this up, we put water into the water bowl, we have the steam, and we can start baking the bread inside. These peels, the ones that you see upstairs, so once we've let the dough rise here, so you have a little razor blade on which you...
The lame.
Le lame, on which we score our signature pea, and we bring it in. All right, ready to grab the bread?
Wow, how fast!
Did you see that?
Incredible! Wow!
Is it not a little hot?
Oh, yeah! So,
Now what's interesting is to listen to the bread at this point.
the crackle.
Exactly.
Yes, I love that. There's a word in French for that.
There's actually a more poetic thing is le chant du pain.
Ah, le chant de pain, yeah.
So all of the loaves are baked, we put them one against the other, and they lose a little bit of water. And by doing that, they crackle and it goes...
Yeah, I love that sound.
It's beautiful. And as a baker, you know that it's well baked because it has this crackling, and it's something very exciting because it's the accomplishment of the work. But it's not quite done yet because, of course, even with your expert hands, as you see, it was warm, so we have to let it cool a little bit so that we can sell it.
We need to let it cool down, then we
need to let it cool
test
down,
it.
and then we can test it.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe we do a first quick stop in this room. So we're in the heart of Saint-Germain-des-Prés, in the left bank of Paris, and in this shop, my grandfather in 1932 started here.
Almost 100 years ago.
Almost 100 years ago, exactly.
And I heard that he used to sit over there,
Exactly,
right?
he used to sit right behind me, and from there he used to be able to see everything happening in the store.
Some tricks he had.
Some tricks we had before CCTV, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
What you can see on the walls here is a little bit of the heritage of that area. When my grandfather, when he started, there were a lot of artists and craftsmen in an area that was being gentrified. So they started exchanging bread for paintings and arts because it was an era, because it was les copains, the people with whom you shared bread.
They help each other.
Exactly. And that legacy has been ongoing, whether it's more recent pieces, like this one comes from an Austrian artist.
That's ceramic, right?
That's exactly, that's ceramic. We put it up just before the pandemic.
I used to do as a kid ceramic.
Oh really?
Yeah.
What I love with ceramic as a material is that it's baked earth. It's the same
process
as the baking, exactly. This is a lithography, which is a printing style that happens in Montparnasse. And this is one of the last places where they do it in Paris. And all of these pieces reflect artists' sensibilities of an era of Paris and, you know,
and bread.
Europe, the neighborhood, or abroad.
What I see is that the score is not the score of Poilâne.
It's only been since 2000 that at Poilâne we do a pea.
Something new.
It is something new. And it sounds like a tiny detail, but it actually makes a difference in the way the bread crackles. So historically, we do these drawings because it helps distinguish our bread from another person's bread. Exactly, it's a signature. The scoring really helps. It's a touch just before you put your bread into the oven to make a difference for your loaf. So say you have a loaf that's having a hard time to rise and it's not things, and then you score it very deeply and you say, come on, now it's time to give you everything.
Yeah. The crumb changes.
100%, yes.
Changes.
So I think it's this thing where it's both aesthetic and practical.
Yeah. And it's a signature.
And it's a signature, and it's a way that the baker can give a final touch in terms of a final hand to make the most beautiful loaf possible.
And what could be interesting is to see every baker's eats pea.
That's one of the distinctive things is by now
they're not all the same.
Now that we do the pea, they're not all the same, and I can really recognize different bakers' peas because they have.
So you can then call them and say, your pea today was not that
so great.
So you were talking to me about this chandelier, and I heard something about Dali.
Exactly.
We have a lot of people from Spain watching these videos.
Salvador Dali, in the 70s, in Paris, was living at l'Hôtel Meurice. And he wanted to surprise Gala, his partner, by creating a whole bedroom made out of bread.
Yes, I've heard of that.
And he had met my father a couple of years earlier and had asked him to do different objects made out of bread, and he did this.
The chandelier and the whole bread. There was a bed, a wardrobe.
There was a bed, there was a cabinet, there was a chandelier, there was a bedside. I mean, everything.
A lamp.
A lamp.
So this chandelier is made out of
Dough or bread,
Exactly.
bread dough.
It's bread dough. And every time we put a new chandelier in place.
Yes, how long does it
So
last?
this one we just put in place, and the previous one had lasted 3 years. This bread dough reacts to changes in the temperature. So if it's hot and humid, and then dry and cold, it's these differences that make the dough work and that degrade it.
And how do you
I have
find
a
out?
piece that I've had in.
Because something falls?
No,
I think it's time to
We
change.
wait before that. I've made some pieces of bread thing, and I found it's 14 years old.
Oof.
So it's pretty impressive.
Oof, impressive. There's a possibility that we can taste a little bit of chandelier with butter.
Are you kidding?
No?
No. No.
Thank you. Interesting, really interesting room with a lot of
I'm going to take your hands and I'm going to take you down to the bakehouse before you start
Okay.
doing a tartine with my.
So now comes the best part, the tasting part.
Tasting, right? All right, so let's cut this big loaf of bread.
Wow. I never get tired of that sound.
So Ramon, you can see like there's a nice and even crumb.
Even crumb, and I love the color, which is really creamy.
Yeah, and this comes from the work of the shaping of the loaf and a nice rise in the oven.
The artisan work. But it's not that thick.
It's not that thick either, so
Yeah.
it's this nice balance.
Yes.
And so
And it's crunchy.
it's
On
crunchy.
the outside.
So you can smell it while I cut some pieces so we can taste.
Wow.
All right. So
I love the smell.
the smell is incredible,
The
no?
smell is incredible. Freshly baked.
Yeah. And so now we're going to be copains
Okay.
by sharing bread.
Okay. Cheers.
Cheers. Ding.
I love the crumb.
loaf,
It's
and
really soft, tender.
it's tender.
creamy,
You can
and it
feel that
pulls
it's
apart. Take a look at
easily,
this.
but it's
Easily.
got structure nonetheless.
Incredible.
And when you cut the
The crumb. It's crispy, crunchy, but not that hard.
you have texture, you have
Texture.
flavors. The retrofaction comes slowly with the acidity of the fermentation, but it's not
Not that acid.
not acid and not
perfect.
aggressive. It's
Yes,
just
because-
this nice balance.
Your sourdough starter is always refreshed every day by using it, so you keep the acidity lower,
Yeah.
I think. But it's perfect. The taste is incredible. Well, I could be eating this bread all day. Maybe some
So could
butter. Don't you have some butter?
I'm not in my pockets today. Sorry.
Well,
Speaking
thank
my
you,
mouthful.
Apollonia. It's been an honor to be here at your
been a pleasure to-
grandfather's room.
Yes, and it's
Yes.
been a pleasure to greet you at the bakery.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the personalized tour.
Have a great rest of your trip, and
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming today.
And all that you're watching this, you know, when you come to Paris, you have to come to Poilâne, right?
There's this bakery and 4 other
4 more.
locations.
Okay, so you'll find one near your hotel. So leave us some comments, what you think about everything that you've seen today, and we'll see you on the next video.
Thank you for watching.
I hope you have enjoyed this video. And if you want to learn more about sourdough bread and sourdough starter, I encourage you to check the link on the description. And remember, this masterclass was specially designed for you.